Are you tired of losing and being hard stuck? Are you constantly forced to fill because of insta lockers? Let me tell you about this method that will help you rank up 3 times faster, if not more. This is me, and I reached Immortal 3 in under 300 hours, and you might wonder how. One extremely big reason to my quick success can be contributed to this one method: my agent pool. You're probably thinking now, oh, is this going to be just another video telling me to pick a main? This is PRX Jing, rank 18 this act, and he basically only plays Raze and Reyna. Another pro, Asuna, rank 2, basically only plays a few duelists. Now let me tell you why this is way more important than you think and why it will help you rank up 3 times faster, if not more. I'm going to break things down into 3 crucial reasons as to why this is so important. Reason 1, it stops you from improving. Big time. Let me tell you why and how. This video is sponsored by Valorant Tracker, which is an app that'll help you rank up faster. Allow me to explain. The app tracks all of your important statistics to help you improve, helping you find your weaknesses. So if you've got really bad headshot percentage, maybe it's time to start working on it. There's also an arsenal of lineups on every map and for every character to help you. My personal favorite part about the app is in the agent select screen. The app shows your teammates' recent games, allowing you to dodge whenever you got a tilt cure on your team, saving you some precious RR. Don't miss out on this advantage. You can download Valorant Tracker for free with the link in my description. Let's break down your total skill into 2 parts: your agent competence and your game sense / mechanical skill. I'm going to use this tower as your skill, consisting of your 2 parts. The goal is to build a big enough tower so that you can reach your dream rank. This is where the problem occurs. Most of you fill for your team or just play different agents for fun, but that leads to being hard stuck. Because what you're doing is you're constantly starting and building new towers instead of sticking to one. When you're playing a new agent, it's going to be extremely difficult to improve your game sense / mechanical skill, because all of your attention is going towards how you're using the agent. We don't have infinite attention and can't improve all things at once. Unfortunately, we can only apply our attention to one thing at a time. So if you're constantly applying your attention to playing a new agent and building these short towers, you can't move on to improving mechanics and game sense. The goal is to become so good at the agent so that everything becomes automatic. By playing the agent enough times and by constantly thinking of how to play the agent correctly, you learn and improve making things habitual and constantly raising your autopilot level, leaving room for you to focus on the real problem: your fundamentals in mechanics and game sense. The person that is able to spend the most time focused on improving these things will rank up the fastest. Because this is where the real difference between a bronze and a radiant lies. The skill cap for an agent and mechanical game sense is drastically different. It's easier to get good at an agent fast because it is way less complex than improving at the game and fundamentals as a whole. So we want to try and max out our competence on an agent as fast as possible so that we can put all of our time and focus into game sense and mechanical skill. Improving is one thing, but to improve fast is another. Your single focus should lie in getting the most amount of leverage from your time as possible. A lot of Valorant players have the same input of time but very different outputs. This is due to leverage. Thus, you want to place your time on the most important thing to get the most amount of output for your input. Most of the time it is things like game sense, so if we eliminate having to learn a new agent constantly, we can start to harness the compounding effect. Before moving on, I want to quickly give an example of 2 different players with the same inputs but very different outputs. One harnessing the compounding effect and one that doesn't. Player 1 focuses on only 1 or 2 agents and is able to harness the compounding effect. This is a term used in the stock market, meaning that you get an exponential curve of money, skill in this situation, by small 1% increases or more. This compounds and eventually get an exponential return, giving you way more output for the same input. Therefore, let's say that this player only mains Jett. The other one plays 5 different agents from game to game. This is where they both would be in terms of skill after 100 games if they were improving by 1% per game, in theory. As you can see, both have the same input of 100 games, but they are not at the same ranks, due to one leveraging the compounding effect and another one that isn't. Now, let me tell you about reason number 2. You become a jack of all trades instead of a one-trick pony, leading you to not unlocking your agent's true potential. When you stick to 1 or 2 agents, you start to learn super niche and specific things on maps that give you a slight edge over your enemies. Things like which site is the best to play on each map, which areas are the most favorable, and how to use your utility to get the most out of your agent. These small tricks you learn with time compound as well, especially if you play against enemies that are not comfortable on their agent. Cause even if you might have the same game sense and mechanical skill as your enemies, you can get a slight edge with your agent, allowing you to supercharge your rank up process. Leading us to the third reason. You don't learn your role either. As if it wasn't enough of a disadvantage having to learn to play a new agent every game. If you're jumping around the different roles, you're also forced to learn that role, which is a whole new thing in itself. The fundamentals of how you play as a duelist is drastically different to a sentinel. With that being said though, I don't want this to sound like I want you to play one agent for the rest of your life. Of course not. Now we need to take all of this information and apply it to reality. So, what are you supposed to do now? My advice and what I have done is, I have one main which makes up the majority of my games. Then I have a second agent which I use to flex or fill, but I avoid this as much as possible. So yes, it is fine to insta-lock your main, but be aware that you might have some bad comps from time to time.
Oh shit, what is that?
And you want to know the truth? This is completely fine. A perfect comp is not necessary to win in solo queue or even duo queue. I have won multiple games with 5 duelists in Immortal Plus, and trust me, you don't need a perfect comp. Something to keep in mind though is if you're completely new to the game, it is worth it to at least play 1 to 3 games on every agent to get a basic understanding of them. You obviously don't want to do this in ranked. It also can take some time to find the right agent for you, and that's fine. To make this sustainable over the long term and to be able to get the full effect of compounding, it is necessary to pick a combo of 1 to 2 agents that you really enjoy. It really doesn't matter if that agent is meta or not. If you play a meta agent that you do not enjoy, you won't be able to sustain it long term, meaning you won't get any compounding. So don't go for that short term gain just because an agent is S tier in the current meta. It won't last. TenZ or any other pro could play any agent in Radiant and they would still make it work. So don't use a agent being not meta as an excuse to not play that. If you enjoy it, go for it. To further build upon this, when learning a new agent, it is best to spam an agent a lot in the short term when learning it instead of spreading it out. By spreading it out, you put yourself at risk of forgetting some things, meaning you might have to relearn that, losing that leverage on your input as we previously talked about. This has been my approach to the game and it got me to Immortal 3 pretty damn fast, and trust me when I say that it will help you as well. Realistically, if you follow this one concept, you'll probably improve faster than 3 times. But in order to get the most out of this, you're going to need to be consistent. Consistent in playing the same agents, but also in your gameplay. To help you, I've made a video that'll teach you the secrets to being consistent.